Peace, peace. I was talking and my mic was muted. I know this is last minute. I'm about to get going here in just a minute. We're trying to give a chance for people who have notifications turned on to get notified and get a chance to come in. I'm trying to get us a little bit of, let's see, I'm trying to add a little bit of some bumper music. Let's see if I can find something to bring it in. Let's see if I got something. Let y'all hear some of this Dap Dunlap. I don't even know what this one is. Let's see if it'll. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. One, two. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Welcome to the think tank. Let's see if we can get back over to the comments. Man, my mouse is tripping. Yeah, there y'all go coming in. What's up, trumpets? Stage Page, peace. Amani, peace. Natasha, I just mailed your package out today. I left the receipt in the truck. I'm gonna email you in the morning your tracking number. But it is in the mail. Peace to everybody. Can y'all hear that music? Yo, that's dope. I can hear it in my headphones. Can y'all hear me and the music? I appreciate you, Natasha. Okay, bet. Thank you, trumpets. Yeah. Amani said I was literally listening to some Jay Dilla. Like, I hope you go live soon, and I hope the app. And open the app, and here we are. Yeah. Got some of this Dab Dunlap. Set the tone. This is my homie right here from North Carolina. Whenever you hear the instrumentals, the outro, and sometimes the intro and things, he is the crafter of these sounds. All right. Oh, it's still playing. Hold on. Let me find something else while we get warmed up. Let me find something else real quick. Now, let me find some more. I gotta get used to this. Okay. Let's see. What might y'all like? Let's do this one here. We're about to get going. We're going to give a couple, 1-2 minutes. But I like this, though, just to set the... We're going to jump out of this and go to this one right here. Yeah, I love this one right here. Yeah. I think I wrote something to this one. Tonight's topic the occult anatomy of voting. Been really busy. But back kind of getting into my routine, and I wanted to come and drop this. Feel like it's a timely discussion. If you're just tuning in, the occult anatomy of voting, that's what we're gonna briefly discuss this evening. But I want to let this ride for a minute. We'll let this one play, and when this one goes off, we'll get into it. This made me want to go through my phone and find out what was I writing to this. What's the name of this beat? Yeah. High rise lifestyle. Needless markup. World full of mock-ups. Can the people see the real? How about a facial peel? He don't dark up. He gives light, bruh. When man know himself, he don't need no appeal. We're gonna have to record this. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing popping. Once again, thank y'all for joining in. As you can see, I'm trying to work with my little technology here. Trying to get this damn thing up the screen. There we go. There we go. All right. Let me turn this off. I'm trying not to. All right. Peace. Lisa Free Feather. Peace. Thank you for joining in. Peace to everybody. So the topic is the occult anatomy of voting. So where I wanted to begin with this was just with a kind of a rhetorical statement. And the question is this: how would you know if you were under mind control? How would you know if you were subject to mind control? And of course, if you ask the average person, are you under mind control? Of course, they would say no, right? Nobody would think, I ain't under mind control. I do what I want to do. I make my mind up. I'm grown. But nobody who's under mind control would ever know that they're under mind control. That's the whole point of mind control, to not know that it's happening. If you think about it, to be sure that you're not under mind control, there has to be a degree of self-analysis there has to be in that self analysis, there has to be analysis of your perspective, meaning the word perspective in itself denotes sight, spectacles, glasses, eyes, seeing. So you have to be able to look at what you've been looking at and look at how you've been looking at things for you to be sure that you're not under mind control. You have to be able to analyze your beliefs, your opinions, and I'm not on Zoom tonight, so I can't pull up my whiteboard that I so love to. But let's remember that currently Jupiter is transiting Gemini, and Jupiter is the planet that deals with our perspective and opinion and beliefs, our truth, our religion. Sidebar. Everybody, I told this to people in my 720 astrology sacred teachings class, which you should be a part of if you're not, that everybody down here follows some religion. I don't care if you say you don't do religion. I'm not religious. Even if people who claim to be an atheist, everybody got a religion down here. Because, and I want to clarify my statement, because people got somebody gonna go back and listen to this, and they're gonna hone in on that one statement and not listen to what comes after it, and they're gonna let me clarify this. Religion means to be bound. All right. So remove the connotative association of religion with I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a this, I'm a that. Just what the word literally means, to be bound. And if you are on this plane, you are bound to earth. And earth is symbolically also representing the human body through its association with the Hebrew word Adamah, Adam, Adamah. So everybody has a religion down here because everybody's bound to earth. As in, the one religion that everybody has here is earth, is the earthly experience or the human experience of a spirit inhabiting a vessel we call a body. So everybody has that common reality down here. Now, that's just a sidebar, because I brought up the fact that Jupiter governs religion. But Trumpers, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that form of, but I know what you're saying. But what I'm talking about is the religion of being in a body or being on the earthly plane. And if you look at the middle of that, since you referenced Lauryn Hill, if you look in the middle of that word earth, it will give you the secret to how to worship the common religion that everybody has down here. That's my man E. My man E just had newborn baby on August 4th. Shalom, good brother. Congratulations. But in the middle of that word earth, notice EARTH. In the middle of that word, you have ART, art. And art is the gateway to the soul's expression in this realm of earth. As in, art is one of the key ways for the soul to imbue and to express and to actually give life to an empty shell that would just be a corpse. You feel me? So, encoded in words, sometimes we can find the the problem and the solution, or the condition and the proper way to experience or respond to the condition. The condition is earth, and the response is art. Now, art is not just drawing. Art is not just singing and dancing. Art is any expression of divine love. That's what art is. So the way I always reference my grandmother, the way my grandmother, who was a maid all her life, would clean was an art. See, sometimes we limit and box ourselves in and we think, well, I don't have no special. It is whatever you do that expresses divine love is art. And that is part of the secret of maneuvering through this religion that we are all adherents to, as long as we within this realm, which is earth. And it's funny that the first earth sign that appears in astrology is Taurus. And Taurus is the expression of divine love, or it is the reception, I should say. Libra would be more the expression. Taurus would be the reception of a divine love. It's the feel of it because it's the earth. It is the settling of the divine essence. And so the first earth sign is expressed through a Venusian lens. And Venus is the goddess of love. These are secrets that are encoded within these systems and sciences and codexes that we have for us to that's right, Sage. Earth is heart, divine love. Okay, I got sidetracked. But mind control, self-analysis, analysis of perspective, analysis of beliefs, analysis of opinion. Those are some of the key first steps to ensuring that one is not under mind control. And if you think about this, all around us, all these devices that we use, they are constantly updating. Your phone is updating. My watch is updating. These computers are updating. Everything's updating and giving us new user agreements. New user agreements. Now, imagine how far we continue to get behind the 8 ball when we are not updating our own software, or everything around us continuously is updating itself. And we keep taking these new oaths because me included, I ain't reading these Apple agreements, but it's part of the game. you know? And so we have to be reviewing, and I'm gonna piggyback on you, Lisa. We got to be reviewing our contracts. If we want to even use soul contracts and even our mundane contracts, like how are we partnering with this existence? Eric says consent. The con has been sent. Ain't that something? Um, the reason I'm leading off this discussion by with the opening volley of mind control is because it is subtle. Nobody comes out and says with a bat and says, I'm here to control minds. It is subtle. And even sometimes the more enlightened of us can still be subject to mind control. And this thing is rolling out like gangbusters right now. And thus, the title is The Occult Anatomy of Voting. Now, I want to kick it off here. This is a C. Freeman used to say, whenever you get up to talk about esoteric, metaphysical, just knowledge of self, he says, I'm confounded every time I get up to speak or teach. And I understand exactly what he means, because I often find myself confounded, like, where do I begin? And especially the fact that my Mercury is in Capricorn, which is slow. That's why I'll have these absences from, like, I can't keep up with other people's schedule where they posting because I have to let these things sit. I have to live life. I have to look back, contemplate. That's just the way it is. But I feel confounded now as to how do I want to approach this? And I guess I'll start with J.A. Rogers. His book, Nature Knows No Color. And he has a quote that I often refer back to. Or he doesn't. I quote him. Okay. He said, it is quite possible that the color prejudice of white for black began in prejudice among the whites for shades of their own color. I refer to the science of physiognomy, which rates individuals as good or bad, desirable or undesirable on their physical traits, end quote. Then in another section, he says, quote, belief in physiognomy grew so strong among whites and was such a power in the hands of charlatans that Pope Paul IV in 1559 placed books on it on the index, and in 1743 the British Parliament outlawed it, end quote. Now see, when he said the Pope Paul IV in 1599 placed books on it. Now, if you go down to the bottom of the page, he gives a little footnote. And the book that he is referring to, I'm trying to see if I got it in my Amazon thing. The book is titled A History of Magic and Experimental Science, Volume 5. That's what he's referencing. Listen to the title. A History of Magic and Experimental Science. I think that's where, yeah. So that's the book that he was referencing. So there were there was an understanding of occult principles even back at this time, and using a form of manipulation. And it was not, you got to think what's going on in the world at this time. 1559, this is, the world is going through a shift because Europe is attempting to emerge as its own force by presenting what it has learned from Moorish interaction. This is the latter part of the so-called Renaissance. So part of this Renaissance was, this is occult knowledge that is being repackaged and represented and being used to create a false identity. This is after the fall of the Moors in Spain, which was considered to be its last major stronghold. So this is coming about 60 something years in the future from that, from 1492. And but at this point, how we consider race right now, it doesn't appear that it was held in the same regard as the way we look at race, from the standpoint of color codes, you know. But what we have now based on colorism began back then with what J. Rogers calls physiognomy, where there was prejudice or prejudging based on physical appearance. So this would be the mother of what we are experiencing now, so to speak. And if you look at the timing here. This is 1559. 100 and something years later, they would have something called Bacon Rebellion here in America, 1687, something like that. And so you can see how the tides were turning and a shift was occurring from pedigree to more so of appearance. And that's what he's laying out in here in this description he's given. Now, why am I talking about this? When we look at what's some of the biggest stuff in the news right now, it's one of the biggest things is Kamala Harris. And some of the murmurings about, well, hold on. She was adamant about her heritage being Indian. And now she is so-called black. You know, chucks and pearls and ski wheat and, you know, and stepping and, you know, so it is this chameleon-like expression, but at the end of the day, what the people are looking at is her color codes. And this is why I brought up J.A. Rogers, because he is presenting this term physiognomy that he says really kicks off around, you know, from his research at that time around the 16th century. Now, again, the original question was, how would you know if you were under mind control? There's so much going on right now, and I'm gonna keep building on this. So much going on, but I'm gonna jump ahead. No, I'm not gonna go there yet. I'll come back to that. Something else I want to highlight is the fact that when there is chaos at the head, it trickles down. So, what do you have in Washington, D.C.? You have the so-called Capitol. Um, okay, Sage says that book came out in 1923 before the Rothschild began to revive books. Good point. So in Washington, D.C., you got the Capitol, right? What does the word capital mean? It means head. So I'm leading up into our topic, the occult anatomy of voting. When there is chaos at the head, what happens to the rest of the body? When my mind is out of whack, how does it impact my hormone expression? And when my hormonal expression is out of whack, how does it affect my endocrine system? And how does it affect my organ expression and health? And then how does it affect the overall health of my body? They all are under siege when my mind ain't right. So you create chaos at the Capitol. I'm approaching 50. I have never seen nothing like this. Would have never imagined I would see anything like this. This is chaos. It is chaos. But how does it affect the people subconsciously who believe in the validity of the system they live within? What subconscious effect does it have? I'm just throwing some things out as I lead up to this. This chaos, people want to restore order because order makes people feel safe and people feel secure. Because, as the great Bobby Hemmett used to say, the majority of people are pathological, perpetual, grown-up children at large. Pathological, perpetual, grown-up children at large who want what? To feel protected by mama and daddy. And so when you create chaos and the people are clamoring to find some semblance of order, then it helps to create energy that is channeled through the vote. And the word vote from votal traces back to the Latin uere, Middle Latin vuvere. And guess what that means? Vovere, to make a vow. And the etymological dictionary I pulled this from says a vow is likened to a prayer or an ardent wish. A wish. So let's just follow the train here. We started with the word vote, to uere, to vovere, Middle Latin, and it means to make a vow. So when you're voting, you're making a vow. So just think about a vow. All right. And that a vow is equivalent to a prayer or a wish. All right. Now, but let's dig deeper into the word vow, because a vow is when you take a vow or oath, what are you doing? It's a promise. Your marital vows is a promise. I promise that I will love you to death do us part, to rich or poor, whatever, it's a promise. But all this tracks back to a vote. Now think about it. People go, and we're talking national level. I'm not talking local. The national level, this is the big stage. You got to go and vote because that's what our ancestors fought for. And they da 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 da. You got to go vote because that is my voice can be heard. That's what people think is going on. But etymologically, it appears that the voting is a vow, which is a wish, but it's also a promise. And the word promise comes from mission, and mission from the Latin promittere, to send, hence put in front, to send forward. Whoa, wait a minute. Hold up now. Wait a minute. Something ain't jiving. So the vote ultimately means a promise, and the promise means I'm sending, hence putting something in front. I'm sending something forward. And this is where the title, The Occult Anatomy of Voting, came from. What is the vote really? It is a battery. It's a battery that actually sends something forward. Now, let's just think here. Now, hold on. Why is this vote more important than probably any other? Because what was everybody talking about leading up to this year? The United States having its Pluto return, 27 degrees of Capricorn. And so the United States has had its Pluto return. Why is that significant? Because empires can crumble when they have their Pluto return. Some have been lucky enough to make it through 2 before they crumble. But that was why so much attention was on the United States having its Pluto return at 27 of Capricorn, which has already happened. It's been over that point, gone back. Now, Pluto is making his last dip into Capricorn. Now, could it be that this vote is so important because it will send this U.S. Adventure into the future? Because a vote sends something forward. A vote is also a pledge. And a pledge means a guarantee. So look at the if there is a ritual, then let's look at how it may be structured. The people think that they're guaranteed to receive something. But unknowingly, what they're really doing is providing the energy to push an agenda forward that does not have them in its best, does not have their best interest at heart. Everybody's in their respective corners and fighting. Everybody's breaking down why this is da 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 da. And what does that do? It causes friction. How does a baby get into the world? By 2 polar opposites coming together and forming friction. And whenever you have friction, you create heat. And whenever you have heat, you then invite fire. Like I always say, we don't create fire. We create situations to invite fire from another realm into this realm. So when you create friction, you create heat that attracts fire from another realm, and then we open a portal for it to get over here. That's how a baby comes about. Because the baby has what? A soul. which is fire. So if you want to create a baby of sorts, metaphorically and metaphysically, then the friction between people, the back and forth. Why is it so important for the stadium? Because the friction back and forth between not only the athletes who are dueling, but the fans fighting in the stands, the fans screaming, doing the wave, it creates energy. And whenever you are participating in somebody else's ritual and you are ignorant of the ritual, your energy is harvested and you become food through your ignorance. Your energy, your emotional, energetic expression going against somebody else's emotional, energetic expression creates food, sustenance. On the occult level, I'm gonna go to my notes. On the occult level, the act of voting denotes the relationship between facilitators and subjects. Say that again. On the occult level, the act of voting denotes a relationship between facilitators, as in controllers, and those who are subjects, meaning they are subject to the control mechanism. The latter, not aware that their belief in the validity of the system created is used as fuel to propel the system forward. The vote as a vow is propulsion. As a pledge, it's a guarantee of the continuation of the system. All right. Now, go back to the colorism because I dropped that video, Venus and Melanin. I want to go back and reflect on um, that video. I mentioned how the melanin relates to kryptonite as it's a gift and a curse. All right. Sometimes I feel cautious about putting certain things out because I you have to get the full breadth of the information to understand where I'm coming from and what I'm really about. Um, those videos were not intended to be like, that's right, I'm melanin popping and da 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 da, because like I was trying to always put in a word of caution that ain't the play. I promise you it ain't the play. If you really, well, that's why I try to mention the thing about the kryptonite, because the same thing that is your greatest strength is the greatest weakness. That's the secret. Melanin is a super weapon. It's the greatest substance in the universe. I went back and watched the movie Dune, 1984. He who controls spice melange controls the universe. Spice melange, melanin. He who controls it controls the universe. Um, and the thing about this is that that same melanin that is so beautiful and so powerful, if it is not understood or there's not an attempt to understood, it can become the greatest self-sabotaging weapon because you go in and you highlight the weaknesses of it and you flip it back. So listen to me. When I say this, understand where I'm coming from. I'm not talking about gender. as in man and woman. I'm talking about gender as in spiritually. Melanin is feminine. That was a connection between Venus and melanin. It is feminine. More melanin dominated people are naturally more feminine. All right. So feminine is more attuned to emotion. So this is not about men or women, it's about across the board. If you wanted to figure out a way to take this superpower and to reverse engineer it, what would you do? You would utilize the same principles that make it powerful, one of which is emotion, and you would figure out how to reverse it and you take that same thing and to use it as an albatross. The same thing that makes melanin pop, it's an emotion because the melanin is also lives in the adrenals. There's a yellowish brown fluid called adrenaline in the adrenals, and it's melanin. That's why melanated people across the globe respond to stress. How do you think that's possible? Because the adrenals are melanin stores. And when stress is applied, the adrenals, we normally think of the adrenals as being something bad, but what they really the adrenal glands are ruled by Jupiter. And what happens is when you're under stress, the adrenals are emitting the melanin in those glands to restore harmony. And that's what creates the art. The ability to create an artistic reality within this realm is a response to stress. The art of shooting a wicked jump shot, the art of being a birthing coach, the art of culinary skill, the art of art, visual artistry, the art of being a musician, the art of crafting, a fetisher, crafting jewelry. These are melanin responses. And a lot of times to stress. But what if you could reverse engineer that? And you could create so much to where those stores get depleted, to where you're constantly chasing an emotional high. Then you would be where we are right now. That's the game. That's the game. The same superpower has been reverse engineered. And through physiognomy that has led up to colorism, that's the game that's being played right now. Because Kamala Harris' birthday, what did I find her birthday? I had her chart. I thought her birthday is October 21st, 1964. Guess where her sun is? 27 degrees of Libra. Now go back. So who is Libra ruled by? Venus. Now, who did I say was the goddess that was created to sit over this corporation? Columbus. And Columbus traces back to who? Venus. Because the Statue of Liberty, which is now green through erosion, is made out of what? Copper. Copper is associated with whom? Venus. So you think it's just by happenstance that this shit was planned years ago, that this woman comes up The Libra squaring Pluto at 27 of Capricorn in the US chart. So appearing to oppose or go against the old guard, but actually possibly being used as a savior for the system that it appears to be going against. Some ill shit. 27 degrees of Libra, ruled by Venus. Okay. I was going somewhere else. Where was I else? I was going to add to that. Sidebar. Now, that's the Venus element. And Venus also traces back to Hathor and also back to Isis. Now, what's going on right now on the world stage? The Olympics. And where are the Olympics? In Paris, France. And what is Paris? The city of Isis. So inside of stadiums, which is a womb, and which is also a circle, you have athletes who are going back and forth, creating energy, sexual energy, and that energy is being used to feed the same goddess structure that we would venerate. In other words, if a dog bites you, you don't snatch away from the dog, you feed it. What did I always tell you about the Catholic Church? Who do they bow down to? The so-called Black Madonna. You don't tear away from the dog, you feed it. And in other words, don't try to fight it. Give the dog what it wants, feed it. So they will give energy to the same energy that represents what they are oppressing, because they are working on at an occult level, which is why we have to step up our minds to see the whole play. Because once your mind sees the play and you choose not to energetically buy in, it changes the frame of the game, because the game is played on a subtle level. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. What I'm trying to say is all this shit is connected. Everything is connected, and all of this was planned. It just so happens that the other day, the rapper Cardi B announces that she's having a third baby, but she's getting a divorce. And guess what she is? She is a Libra as well. Okay. Now, the other day, they send Trump up on the stage to go and talk to how many? 3 melanated women for the National Association of Black Journalists. 3 is the Trinity. That's the triple goddess. They sent him up on stage to have this, what they knew was going to be ugly, because it was set up for that. Now, I want you to see that all these things are connected. The Cardi B thing, Kamala Harris, and Trump. If he goes up there and it appears he disrespected these black women, as if you say you support him, then guess what now has happened? You created a rift. We got so many different levels of back and forth. You got, let me show you what I'm talking about. Listen to this list I wrote out, the different back and forths. You got where is that at? Hold on. Okay, listen to these different camps. You got the Caucasian right-wing Trumpsters. Then you have the right-wing evangelical truther Trumpsters. Then you have the black established Republican Trumpsters. You have the black disillusioned Democrat / truther who has become a Trumpster. You have the black knuckle draggers who ain't gonna vote anyway. You have the black knuckle draggers who are now saying that they are Trumpsters. You have black conscious who say no vote. You also have black diehard Democrats. You have black conscious feminists who are going to lean towards Harris. Then you have white feminists who don't like them, but they're going to go towards Harris just on the feminism, but they ain't with the consciousness part. Then you got the white feminists who ain't going to vote because they're feminists, but they ain't going to vote for no so-called or who's posing as a black one. You see all these different camps. Then within this, you'll have division in some realities between so-called black men and so-called black women based on how you're gonna not support Kamala. And look how he went up there and disrespected our sisters. You see it's all emotion. It's to get the people to get involved. It's Hegelian dialectic because the energy creates a whirlpool. In Kabbalah, before we get to the first sphere, which is Kether, you have a tornado cloud, and that tornado cloud is called Ein Sof Ein, the I, Ein Sof, and Ein Sof and it's a storm cloud. It's chaos. And then eventually it settles into a concentrated point, Kether. So right now, this is what I say earlier, it's the chaos. And you get all these energies that are getting mixed up. They all, I'm with this and I'm with that and da. And this is the real Civil War. All by design. This is not the Civil War that we're thinking about, 1862, 1861, all that. It's a civil war at a higher plane. It's a fourth dimensional civil war we're already involved in. And it will heighten come next year. Try to make sense of this. The Civil War, according to the legend, pitted brother against brother, right? What is going on in the atmosphere right now is a civil war of ideas. Next year, when Neptune moves into Aries, it will escalate because Aries is identity and Neptune is confusion. Confusion around who I am. And if I don't know who I am, I have no direction. Now, if you understand that, you'll see how everything now is leading up. The war is on the people. It ain't got nothing to do with nothing going on. The war is on the people. Because what happens at the head trickles down. You have a real life expression of Neptune, Aries already playing out. Confusion over identity. They push this woman in who Indian one day, black the next. That's literally Neptune and Aries, confusion around identity. And she's just a symbol that is being used to project onto the people, to not have any direction. And that causes chaos amongst the people, a civil war of ideas, to where you become so disoriented that you lose complete regard for where you were. Therefore, any new reality that is created, you will go along with it because you'll be so disconnected from what reality is. When you have every other day a new happening in the news cycle, I have never seen this many. If you had a president get shot at, that's gonna be the talk for the rest of the year, probably for the next 5 years. That thing then already it's forgotten about in the news cycle. I mean, it's every day. Bam, 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 something to where you completely disoriented. Kill this fucking. I got a damn mosquito in here. I'm gonna send his ass to the crossroads here in a minute. Lighten my ass up. That's the game. And so if the people become so disoriented, and then there is some type of tragedy that hits, they'll have no recourse. They will have no ability to respond because they have become so disoriented, so disillusioned. Disillusionment is a Neptune word. So out of touch, that's a Neptune word. And what Neptune also does is it fuses. So what will also happen is the more disillusioned I am and confused I am, then my environment becomes further impacted by my state. So if I'm in a low vibratory state, then I become pollution at a greater level than before, because Neptune causes confusion because it merges. So I said this somewhere else, the world is going to feel what I have felt all my life. Over run by people's energy, but I'm aware of it. Can you imagine if you're not aware and you're just reacting and responding to everybody's energy overlapping yours? That's the chaos. That's the ritual. Because Neptune and Aries fuses everyone physically, but more so metaphysically, like the state that you're in is impacting your environment. So there would be a need to be even more careful about who you are around. For the next, I don't know how long Neptune gonna be in Aries, 14, 15 years. Who are you in? Who are you connected with? What's the state of your own being? Now, on the flip side, if you have light and you have awareness and you are, I hate to use that word conscious, it's been just been maligned, but if you are conscious, what the word used to mean, okay, then your importance is going to be even greater because it'll be like a ship coming in and it's all this fog and the captain will be looking for asshole trying to get my ankle. The captain will be looking for a lighthouse. And so your light will become a beacon for those who are looking for light. But then you're going to have to be careful not to cast pearls before swine. Because everything we see now is leading up. The Cardi B story from a Libra who's saying, I'm just going to do it. That is for the people. Like, think about why do you need to make that announcement? Because that's her contract. She's a puppet, a silly puppet. Her job is to sway public thought. Because the last thing you need now is cohesiveness. So I'm gonna put this message out. Yeah, girl, you can do it on your own. You don't need him. When in reality, if you can figure out how to make a relationship work, make that shit work. Don't let motherfuckers sit out here and say you this shit about whatever. If you are in a relationship and it's not abusive, it's worth you can go a lot farther together than you can alone. But see, that's the part, that's why you have a celebrity make these announcements to help further sever the people from having connection with each other. And then you put a person in who seems to represent the rise of the divine feminine. What better way to attack the divine feminine? Like we got to think. We got to learn to think beyond our emotions. This is high stakes. You don't put out the enemy that you expect. You don't snatch away, you feed the dog. If a dog bites you, you feed it. I'm going to give you what you think you want to see. Where's this thing at? Where's that thing about this? I got to find this. This is, let me see if I can find this real quick. And I got to read this. I'm going to show you how everything has been. Damn it. Bear with me 1 second. Let's see if I can get this thing. I don't see it. I thought I printed it out. Damn it. There was a thing that came out from the UN that said this would be the decade of indigenous people. And I'm going to tell you where I got it from. The Meta Center. The Meta Center is the organization that Dr. Delbert Blair headed up. And it's now being taken over by a brother named Tony Vortex. And he put this up like, I don't know, probably 2 years ago, about the UN said this would be the decade of indigenous people. That they were, like my homeboy said, that's the overlay for the underlay. That was the I gotta find this. I know what I need to. It said in, damn it, because I'm rushing. I know I thought I printed it out. Either way, it said that this decade from 2015 to 2024 would be the decade of indigenous people. So you have to learn how to read between the lines. That means that situations would be created to make you feel celebrated and to make you feel like you are, rising up. Remember, this is the same. This is everything's connected. This is why Wakanda comes out in this period. Everything is connected because you figure out what is the superpower and you use the same superpower by reverse engineering it. It's emotion. And the other thing about melanin is like a swarm of bees. It has group intelligence. That's why when we see a so-called black person who they got 100 acres and they'll put it on social media and we be like, yay. We live vicariously through athletes, through artists, through actors, and because we feel like when they win, okay, we winning. But you know that all this has been studied. If you go back and watch my videos, those astrology of black people videos and these other ones, when I tell you that the word melanin is discovered in 1843 or becomes part of the lexicon, then that means it's becoming part of the studies. It's being studied from 1843 up to 2024. It has been studied in laboratories. It's been put under stress. It has been tested and so so now it's like, okay, I understand what I gotta. It's like when we were coming up, the kids over on the north side of town was the affluent side where they had YMCA's. We used to always joke about how they would, when you play them in basketball, they would pass the ball 1,000 times. That whole Duke Mike Krzyzewski. But the thing is, if you understand what your opponent's strength is, then you have more power to play your game. They say these fools coming over here hanging on the rims and everything. We're going to pass the ball around the perimeter. We're going to be cutting and using fundamentals and setting screens and and shooting jump shots, 13-foot jumpers, and because we understand our deficiency. That's why it is important. When I tell people when I'm reading that chart, people want to come and find out all the great things. No, fuck that. You need to figure out what's messed up because that's where the strength is. So melanin has been studied, all of its greatness and strengths. Ain't no denying it. But by knowing that and then knowing your deficiency, okay, this is how I got to play. Our job is to become fully aware of the totality as close as we can of this most mystical and evasive substance. Because if you understand what's happening, the adrenaline is being manipulated. Now, understand where your adrenals sit. Your adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. Now, you got in everybody's city, you got 16,000 kidney dialysis centers. Okay. Now, we know diet and lifestyle, how that can impact the kidneys. high processed food diet with bad sodium and that which dehydrates us. And but let's just think about the kidneys are ruled by Venus. Okay. And the kidneys work to filter and maintain balance by filtering. On top of the kidneys sit the adrenals, and the adrenals are working to balance also, but they do it a different way. So the kidneys and the adrenals are basically benefics. The kidneys are ruled by Venus, which is a benefic, the lesser benefic, the adrenals, Jupiter, the greater benefic. And they are actually trying to work to maintain harmony and sustain life. But if the adrenals are overtaxed, it then taxes the liver because the pancreas keeps bringing out sugar to address the stress hormones that are being emitted by the adrenals, which are emitting those to try to regulate the stress. Sugar then comes out, sits in the liver. Liver becomes toxic. Liver then impacts the kidneys. The adrenals impact the kidneys because it is working double time trying to filter out the poison. And now you see why they have dialysis centers. You see why diabetes is rampant, because all of those are basically working around what in metaphysics is called the desire body. And the seat of the desire body is the liver. That's why in ancient cultures, they say they would weigh the liver of the person when they pass to see the quality of their existence. In other words, the liver is dealing with the animal soul. Have I been able to understand the nature of my desires? So if you want to control this super weapon called melanin, then keep the people living in desire and being fed by superficial dopamine highs. Not just food, but superficial emotional shit. At the same time, keep smacking them with the same stresses of life. And what they do is they end up running around in a circle chasing baseless desires. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm trying. I hope I'm making sense. Let's see. Where did I want to go next with this? I already touched on this, but let's see, programming emotional triggers. I said, understand the connection between the news and adrenals via Mercury associated with hormones. Mercury rules your hormones. So in all this milieu I just discussed, we got to also consider what are hormones. They're chemical messengers. Okay, thank you, Healing with Breeze. Thank you. Just want to make sure that I'm y'all picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, thank you, Natasha. Okay. Mercury. Think about what Mercury does. He's the messenger god, right? Or the messenger of the gods. Mercury has the ability to travel through any realm. In my humble opinion, the Minions movie is about hormones, the little kids movie, because they were always searching for a master. And when you look at the movie, it shows that they take them back to prehistoric. So in other words, they're trying to tell you the hormones are ancient, they're archetypes, they're archetypal, and they are looking for a master. Now, just think about this. If you have a desire body, and if you don't elevate your consciousness from, if we put it in the terms of chakras, from your root chakra, if you don't elevate that, and you live at a very base existence, or you're just in response to life and not consciously assessing your existence, then you are ruled by your desires. So the minions were idiots, and they knew it, and they were looking for a master to lead them. Now, your hormones, ruled by Mercury, they're chemical messengers, right? But they are looking for a master, and that master is your mind, not your brain, but your mind. They are looking for a master. And as that master shows itself, it directs the chemical messages that they express, which then affects the adrenals, the kidneys, the liver, the pancreas. What does the Kabbalion start off with? The mind is all, and all is mental. The mind is all, and all is mental. And Mercury does also deals with the thinking properties. Jupiter is associated with swelling, expansion, arterial blood flow. Mars associated with inflammation, reaction, response to threat. And Venus associated with balance and harmony and venous flow of blood. Jupiter sends blood to the heart. Venus takes it away to maintain stasis. So I'm just presenting all these to show astrologically how these planets align with the functions within our body, and how our ability to create our version of reality is of paramount importance. I've even gone back to review scripture, and you see in Ezekiel, I'll go on my phone. I'm looking at going back and revisiting stuff. I used to teach on this, and I've got even a kind of even evolved perspective on this about, let's look at the story of, where is it at? Where Lucifer gets kicked out of. Is it Ezekiel 28? Okay. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou was perfect in thy ways from the day that thou was created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Now, let's see. It goes on and on. Here's a continually shifting theory. This is the story of Lucifer basically getting kicked out of heaven, right? And if you think about, Lucifer coincides with Prometheus, who was not allowed into Mount Olympus. What if this story, when you think about also the mythology about the Titans, and the Titans were um the mother, who was the mother? Was it Echidna? She was cut up, you know, and her blood was used to fashion man and her husband's ashes. What if these stories are really talking about our organs? They fail. The Titans, because the Titans were buried under earth, under a mountain. And go back to earth, Adamai, the body, Adam, humanity. The Titans are the organs. And Lucifer specifically is in the belly. And what we're looking to do to raise him back up, because Lucifer would also be the Christ, is to overcome our animalistic desires. What if these things ain't, they read so, they're such powerful words like I have cast thee out, but you listen to all the stones and name it, and you think about the ganglia that C. Freeman used to talk about, the ganglia, the nerve endings that control all these different aspects of the body. And he was amongst the jewels and fell wherever this jewel fall in the gastrointestinal tract. Why? Because the colon is ruled by Scorpio, and Scorpio has the power of life and death, transformation, transmutation, alchemy. And so that the so what we have is what we're working to do is to raise ourselves up through controlling the animal nature, or instead of controlling, to integrate that animal nature into a complete and whole being, which raises this energy back up. And maybe that is the greatest threat right now. And if you can create chaos, then you can limit the chances of this divine right being achieved. I went to a networking thing tonight at the place where I go for colonics, and great conversation. And I said that, I learned that we have parasites living in our organs, and when you do, there's a certain cleanse that we started doing at the solstice along with the colonics. And this cleanse is supposed to go in and start to break down the microfilm. Like, these parasites are highly intelligent. They create a microfilm to protect themselves while they're in the organ. So the detox starts to help break down this microfilm. The colonics help to start removing their environment because they're living in the old impacted waste. So you start to remove that off of the colon wall. Now, the next step is to go in and actually start attacking any parasites that may be there. And I got to see pictures of people passing parasites. Now, what if what we think of demonology, one aspect of it is really a physical representation, or yeah, literally inside our bodies. You think about a demon, what we think of a demon is something that drives your appetite, makes you crazy, have you doing stuff that's outside of your character. possession, taking control of you. Well, all that shit that we think of a demon, parasites do that. And they are in the colon, the area of the ravenous dragon. So we having all types of things are starting to come together now to understand where the lines blur between spirituality and physiology. And I know I'm jumping all over the damn place, but I'm trying to, I guess, trying to say, what is your reality? That's what's more important than anything. What is your reality? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? What world are you maintaining and what are you creating? Because the rest of this shit is theater. In tune with the divine, monitoring your vessel, you know, self-examination, updating your software so to make sure that you don't have any malware. Make sure there ain't no foul program running that somebody else put in, especially knowing that many of us, all of us got some type of paras because look at the world we live in. We live in a parasitical world. So you got these things and how are they being driven by external forces that realize they're there because they're creating foods and reality and things to support those things. Are my thoughts really my thoughts? Are these emotions I'm feeling, are they really mine? So in other words, the fourth dimension is moving very close to the third as the earth is taking us to the fifth. So you got elementals on the fourth dimension moving very close to these shits that's literally living in the underworld of the human body. And maybe the attempt is for those to merge to stop this destined evolution. And you got all these different actors who are out here pushing whatever agenda. How could you have any direction? If you're relying on what you see to give you direction, how could you have any direction? You got a million people telling you a million different things. This is what's going to come. And I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to what is your reality? I alluded to this a while back. So many of you all may be discovering me through this page, 720 Astrology. But I am not new to the block. I started teaching on YouTube like almost 9 years ago. And I know I've talked about my bundle, which I encourage you to go to my site and get my bundle. I encourage you to come and join my 720 class where we have deep discussions, all things metaphysical and occult. And we also learn astrology, you know. But that's something that even a lot of people in my class don't even know about. And it's this. I published this book like 7 years ago. I wrote it 9 years ago, but I finally published it. I want to read you something because I talked about melanin through ignorance and emotion becomes a food source, right? And I talked about the stadium and how the stadium is a energy generator. Okay. Here's something I wrote back then. Let's see. So it is here that we take a turn toward the odd in a direction that many will resolve as ridiculous, and that's okay. Our stance is simply this: Christianity serves as a conduit for vampirism. And when I make such a claim, I am not merely speaking of the proverbial vampirism that occurs through one's financial assets being siphoned based on the false assumption that tithing has to do with the gift of currency to the church and preacher. We will deal with that later. Instead, we are speaking in terms of one's energy being zapped and harvested. Traditionally, a Christian church may have on its roof a large steeple, maybe adorned with a cross extending high into the sky above the building. We can naively assume that its intention is to be a beacon for lost souls to find their way to God's house to receive the gift of salvation. For many, including some preachers, that is what they truly believe the purpose of these structures to represent. Still, there are others who probably view it as a status symbol to draw attention to their elaborate cathedrals designed for worship and collecting money. In our estimation, though, these structures serve far greater purposes. If one pays enough attention, it's clear that the steeples are similar in shape to two very familiar objects: the Egyptian obelisk and the electrical and radio transmission towers that speckle our cities. It is no coincidence that the obelisk is the centerpiece of the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., and that the same type of structure is utilized to transmit power as aforementioned. Also worth noting is the fact that they both represent the phallus, male sex organ, symbolic of creative and regenerative power. Providing another metaphysical point of view, Mircea Eliade identifies such objects as representing the axis mundi, an invisible cosmic phallus that connects the world navel to the heavens. We liken this to the umbilical cord connecting the child to the mother. We deduce then that just as an electrical or radio transmission tower transfers or transmits power, the same relationship exists with steeple atop churches. It is a metaphysical transmission, but still very real. The science of quantum physics has finally caught up with what the ancients knew thousands of years ago, that everything is energy. The images that we see, the tangible objects we pick up and move around are mere signals in their purest forms to more than bundles of energy. Thus, every action and thought is energy too. When millions of worshipers gather each Sunday in these buildings, stirring up emotions, praying together, singing in unison, and focusing their minds outwardly on some external force, they create energy fields that can be harnessed and used for nourishment. Our theory here is that the energy aroused in these buildings, because it is not channeled inwardly, although believers tend to think otherwise, is left open for the vultures of this world to feed on. Because not only is their parasitic nature directed at natural resources, minds, physical labor, and money, it literally needs the energy and essence of the masses, just as a plant needs sunlight and water. The energy once stirred is transmitted through those steeples atop the churches, just like electrical energy and radio signals run through transmission towers to be harnessed and used. It is understandable that what I have submitted is not easily digested to many, but I remind the reader that the truth is stranger than fiction. It's a heavy book. I got 10 of these. And they're not on my site because I stopped. I took these out of circulation. I got 10 of these. I was charging 50. I put them up to 100, but I'm gonna go by the ISBN that I put on here originally. These are $30 for this. This book is a metaphysical exploration. Now, a lot of, some things I've gone beyond what I wrote in here, but this thing is a heavy book, and it's got a bibliography in the back. The bibliography is, or the notes, I should say. This is how you judge. This is how you judge a book. See this? Bibliography. This is all the sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of bibliography. It's a smoker. Now, I'm not gonna put this on my site. But if you email me, if you want a copy of this book, we're gonna go back the old-fashioned way. You email me at info@720astrology.com. Let's see if I can put my. Let's see. I don't know if I have my email down here. Let's see. And boom, boom. Stuff is in the way. info@720astrology. If you would like a copy of this. Oh no, that ain't what I wrote it right there. No, I need to hold on. Pardon me. Let me get my life together. info@720astrology.com. There you go. The bottom of the screen. Email me. And let me know you want a copy. Send me your mailing address in the email. So email me. Let me know you want a copy and give me your mailing address. And what we'll do, we'll just do something like you can either do Cash App or Venmo, or Zelle, because I'm not going to put this on my site because it's a controversial book. So you gotta go through, this means to get it. But it's a well-researched book. I mean, well-researched book, if I should say so myself. Some of the chapters, show me the money, European nature, origin, European nature, environment, education, punishment, and religion, handmaidens of capitalism, the foundation, the crossroads, the feminine mind, the Garden of Eden, the purification, Then I give you a whole list of words in the back that you can research. And I mean, I'm proud of this book, you know. And in the dedication, I had to give a shout out to Brother Bobby back in the day when I did this. Let's see what I say. I had to give a shout out to all my family. You know, at this time, my two youngest ones weren't born, so I don't have them in here. But I said, finally, I must thank Brother Bobby Hemmett. Although I've never met the brother, I have followed his work for years. What I appreciate most about his video lectures is that he has always given out tons of book references, many of which I bought and read and used in the bibliography of this book. I took his recommendations, combined them with my own research, and expounded on what Brother Bobby taught. I encourage anyone who reads this book to do the same. Don't accept what I say as the gospel. Consult my sources and do your own research, whether it is to counter what my stances are or to build upon them. This is the challenge we are all charged with. You know, that's a true Aquarian statement, you know? So, share this video, do the like thing. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. And, you know, I do good business. I do good business. You order a bundle for me, you getting it. ASAP Rocky. I'm getting it in the mail. You know, you order any of my books, you get my bundle. And my other book comes in the bundle with this is the layman's guide to manifestation. Tiny book, but it's powerful. You know, the book is worth nothing else. If nothing else, this one page. How the energy flows. The following diagram will show the ebb and flow between feminine and masculine energy. The energetic change starts in the mind, which acts as a womb, producing a masculine thought that travels to the hand. I mean, it's a blueprint, especially if you and your mate want to be more powerful. It's a blueprint. So, you know, I invite you, get over to 720astrology.com. There's a million ways to edify your soul. Got my bundle with my teaching handout and the book. You can get at me for a copy of this, my, you know, the secret stash, you know, and of course for readings, all types of readings, but the natal chart reading is the crux of all readings. Coaching available. Come and join my class and have further discussions where we go deeper into things. Whole lot. But I thank you all for tuning in. I'm gonna wrap this up. I ain't even realize it's 1:40. Damn, it's going on 2:00. I gotta get off here. But as always, remind you to know the stars, to know yourself. I appreciate you. Andrea said, I have the bundle and it's fire. Thank you. Thank you. Like I said, Natasha, yours is on the way. I think it's supposed to get there. They say Friday or Saturday, I think. But like I said, I got your what they call that? The number in the tracking number. I got in the truck. I'm gonna send it to you tomorrow. But I thank y'all again. Y'all stay up. Know the stars and know yourself. Peace.